Welcome back to this week's episode of Mystery Garage. Now we are starting off where we left off. We are taking this car on a cruise today. We spent all last night and a little bit this morning getting this car prepped up and ready to go. Like I said, I know absolutely nothing about it. So what better way to learn about a car than take it on a 3-hour cruise? Let's jump right into it. Alright, welcome back. So like I said, this car is ready to go. We just quickly rinsed it off. I'm grabbing the kid, we're hopping in the car, we've got to go fuel up. I'm going to mix a little bit of fuel additives to kind of spruce up the fuel system in the car. And then we are going to head over to, we're meeting in a big mall that's about half an hour from here. And hopefully there'll be a good gathering, kind of a pre-meet type thing, saying good morning to everybody, that kind of thing. And then we should hit the road. I also got to find a two-way radio real quick because we're going to do a little bit of communicado in the car. So let's hop in the car, let's go get some fuel, and we will see you probably at the mall. All right, scratch that. Problem number one is I was doing so much fooling around with the electrical system last night and the lights, the battery is dead flat. So I need to jump it just to get the car started to get out of here. So let's find a way to do that. Okay, so here we go. Let's try and jump this thing. It shouldn't be that bad. At least I didn't think it was. But it's just getting click, 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 click. Wasn't a happy camper. Oop. She's in gear. Oh, come on. All right, try again here. Okay, and I need a minute. I had to grab the charger. This should be the ticket, but I just need to get it sorted out. Hey guys, it's me from the future. This is one of the only times I think you'll ever see me in the editing room, but at this point, I realized I was just so frustrated with things, and we had a very short period of time to make it to the mall. I actually did get the car running, but I had to jump it from a different vehicle. Once we did get it running, I hopped in the car, and it was time to hit the road. It wasn't only just that, but a few minutes later, we ran into this problem. Well, here's a little bit of an update. Ooh! We're at a parts store, and I pulled over to get windshield wipers because I couldn't see anything. And my temperature gauge reads 100 degrees. And it's perfectly fine. But yet, go in the engine bay, and it's a totally different story. So, either that cap is bad, or we're overheating. And I kind of think we're overheating because the fan's not coming on. And I didn't seem to check that, so... Okay, so, turns out my rad fan isn't coming on, so I brought some wire. I wasn't exactly unprepared, so I'm trying to wire up the fan, but I can't tell if it's the temperature sensor that's not letting the fan come on, because I tried to hardwire it, and that didn't want to work. So we are going to give this a quick go. If you want to take a look here and see. So I unplugged the sensor wiring, and I've manually, if you can see down here, I've manually wired in the fan. So I'm just going to try to put it right to the battery, and maybe, just maybe, I can get this car to the mall. While driving it though, I realized that something's seriously wrong with the selection of the gears, because reverse, there's no lockout. First and second are so intertwined, first and third are so intertwined, it's almost impossible to tell what's what. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might just get to the mall and say hi and then go back and fix this stuff and go for a cruise later today. I am completely undecided of what the plan is at this moment. Okay, we got the fan working at least, so that's a good thing. We can probably sort that out somehow. I might try and rig this thing to the headlights. So if I drive with headlights on, we can get it working. But, okay, so Jimmy rig at its finest. This will at least get us home. And I still need to go inside the parts store and get a usable windshield washer or wiper, because it is misting just enough to make it almost impossible to see. Okay, jerry rig of the century. So I have rigged it up. Take a look at this in just 1 second, but I've rigged it up so that way I have the temperature switch bypassed, so that way it gives full fan. I've wired the fan ground to the battery, and then I put the positive to the headlights, so if I turn the headlights on, the fan comes on. So check this out. So the fan's running now that the headlights are on, so that'll at least get us home cool. We've cooled down a lot now. I'm going to run into the parts store. We're going to grab the a new windshield washer, wiper, sorry, and we should be good to go. Hopefully that didn't just kill the battery. Let's see how this goes. Before I show any more cars, we're not overheating anymore. So my Jimmy rig seemed to work, but I can hear airflow, which isn't a good thing. So maybe this cap is no good, but I also need to figure out what's going on with that fan switch. I don't know, this is a custom aftermarket rad, so I'll have to figure out what fan switch that is. I'm hoping that's just a regular Volkswagen thread matched switch, but I'm not sure. It's not overheating as bad anymore, which is good. Gear selection though is absolutely junk. I can't tell what's first, second, reverse. It's just this big sloppy mess, and then it gets hung up in the gears, it won't come out. So unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna be taking this car that much farther. We might bomb it around here and then head home. I'm not gonna take it on a 3-hour tour, I'll tell you that much for free. There's way too many inconsistencies, overheating, gear selection, stalls quite a bit, it doesn't wanna idle when it comes down from a high rev. So we'll have to get that sorted out. But what do you think so far, bud?
I don't know.
Okay, so let's go look at some cars. Be cars because it's such a long drive, meeting up with us later in the cruise. But this is probably as far as we're gonna go. back, and I think we were gone for probably 2 hours total time, maybe a little bit more than that, especially with stopping at the parts store, having that overheating issue. So we're back now. I would rate that drive probably about a 4 or a 5 out of 10. A lot of things didn't go well, and a lot of things that I didn't foresee. So we overheated, doesn't shift right, stalls a lot at stop signs. That pedal drag is really bad, and actually it's somehow correlated with the clutch. So when you step in the clutch, it also depresses the pedal, or the brake pedal, which leads me to believe that it's got something to do with the cluster sticking, because it's pulling down both pedals. So that's an issue. What else we got? There was like 15 things that I would change. Oh, the speedometer doesn't work. No, speedometer works, rev counter doesn't work. Clearly the temperature gauges don't work. And what else? Lots to do. So I think right now, my wife's invaded my workshop right now. I am going to puddle around out here, figure out what I can do. First things first, I'm going to try and figure out this fan switch issue, figure out power to the fan, and play around with that and see what happens. Say hi, kids.
Hi.
Say hi, Bubba. She's trying to say hi. She's holding too many things. Okay, let's jump right into it. Okay, so I don't normally do how-tos, but I figured since I got to deal with this, I'd give everybody kind of the rundown. Basic principle on a Mk1 for fans, doesn't matter if you have a 1.8 liter, 2 liter, you modified, generally speaking, everything's kind of the same. What you have is you have a fuse underneath the dash that supplies power to the fan control. It's usually sometimes a 30 amp fuse. Usually some cars have an after run relay, which when you shut your car off, if your temperature is still high, it will keep your fan running until your engine's cool. I don't believe this car has that, but so it goes fuse out to the fan, so you have power to the fan, but power actually bypasses the fan, goes over to the switch. Most Mk1s, your switch would be on this side at the bottom. Again, Mk1, 2 motor swaps, rads fan swaps, and that sort of stuff. It could be on either side. But generally down the bottom, here it's about mid-height in the radiator. You can see it right there. So that is the switch that when it hits a certain temperature, that switch will actually open and allow power to flow through it, which then comes to the rad fan. So what I've done, as I showed you guys earlier, is, see if I can pull it out. This is just a simple one. It's just a 2-wire, so it lets power through the switch. So all I did was jump it. So now power is going through it. It's flowing to the fan, and then, power flowing through this connector to here, power back through here to the fans. So that's how I have it set up. Essentially, that's how it operates. So what we're going to go ahead and do is test first power at the plug that plugs to here. Actually, I'm going to test the fuse first. Power to here. See, second, third, I'm going to check to see if we get power to here, and then hopefully the fan should run. I know the fan runs because I manually wired it in and it runs just fine. So the fan is not the issue. It's either the switch, or there's a lack of power here, or the fuse itself has some corrosion or something, and something's not connecting properly. So I'm going to throw it in time lapse, and I'll figure this out and I'll come back and tell you what I found. Okay, so we, underneath the dash, everything checked out on the fuse, and that was all good. Came over here, ended up connecting the connector back up because we had power here. And then what actually happened is, because I still had this jumper lead in here, it actually ran right away. So let me throw this in. Try to do this with one hand. Okay, so there we go. One side of the jumper lead in, you'll see as soon as I stick this in, the fan runs. So, put it in. The jumper lead's in there. There's just a looped wire. Now the fan's running. So that means the The weak link is probably that switch. So the way to actually test the switch is you can hook it up to a voltmeter and see if conductivity comes through it when you drop it in a boiling hot pot of water on your stove. Because you would know the temperature. You can actually check the temperature with a different thermometer. Sorry, I'll pull the fan apart. You can check the temperature of the water in a pot on your stove with a different thermometer, then drop this in, and it should open the loop to let power through it. So other ways to check it is, yeah, I could heat up the engine and then check connectivity once it opens, but again, you're going to run the risk of possibly overheating the engine again. So I might take this out and put it in a pot of water. We'll see. I got to make a decision what I want to do. Okay, so rather than going inside, and so I stand back a little bit, rather than going inside and boiling this in a pot, it was easier for me to go into my stock and find one I had. And lucky enough, this late model Mark 1 stuff, so like the later Cabriolet, was the right one. So it's not an early model, which is not early as a 2-pin. I thought because this is a 2-pin, I thought that the earlier 2-pin stuff would work in here, but it turns out I had one, and I threw it in, and boom, the fan's working. You can hear that. So the problem was that temperature switch. It's an older one that I put in there, but it's working just fine, and problem solved. Next is you can hear that rattling. Give me 1 second. It's so loud. It's also got something to do with the back, I think, because you can, it rattles right through the exhaust, so you can kind of hear it. You can step on a part, it stops. So it's just lifted up too high. I'll have to do something about that. So that's next on the list. Okay, exhaust is solved. I'm not exactly sure where the rattle was. I tried to find it, but it seemed like every time I went to the front, it's coming from the back. Every time I went to the back, it was coming from the front. So actually what happened was I just pushed it over to this side a little bit, or supported it over to this side a little bit. So it's actually straight in the center of the back cut. And it seemed to work. So now it's not rattling anymore. So that was a huge pain listening to that rattling all the time. So that's solved. On to the next. All right, the day is running long and we actually got our garage spot back. So I think we're gonna end it here for now. All in all, would I have loved to make the entire trip? Absolutely. You know, with everything against us, there was kind of, in that short little drive, I noticed there was probably at least 10 things wrong with the car. Not to mention the shifter was just absolute slop. We had the overheating issue. We got the pedal cluster issue of the brake pedal kind of staying depressed. A bunch of other little things, the rattle, you know, again, if you drive the car too far in an overheating issue, yeah, it probably would have lasted the way I rigged the fan up, but who wants to risk it, especially with an engine this new to me. I don't want to end up being stuck into a head gasket replacement or even a rebuild if I overheated it too badly. So I thought it best, just call it a day, bring it home, start working on some of the issues, and we'll continue to work out the car on this channel before we get ready for the swap. But we will fix that shifter issue. I'll fix the pedal cluster issue. We'll continue to drive this car here and there. But for now, I'm going to hop back on probably next episode on the Jetta. Let's get this swap finished up. Get the car out of here. We are going to do a brake upgrade as well. And then hopefully we can move on to other things around the channel. Thanks very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you guys love this content, please hit the subscribe button. I really would appreciate it. But until next time, thank you very, very much. We'll see you next time. Take care.